So we are to that point. I'm about to put this Global West and Viking combination, sorry, I'm tired, together and into this bucket. So here's the kit. It's got this brace goes across the shock towers. Some old A bodies where the shock mounts, the frame will crack and stuff. Mine's good, luckily, but this way you don't rely solely on your shock mounts to hold the whole weight of the car. What used to be held by a shock and a spring now is just a coilover, normally at 1 or 2 bolt points. So this goes on the top. I gotta drill an extra hole, which I'm doing right now. So one side down, and make sure you read the instructions. There's some key points in there that are helpful. These are the springs that came in the kit. So those came in the kit. 150 is the spring rate. These are QA1s. They're 175, but they're chrome as they should be. It's a pet peeve. You know how it goes. You got this idea in your head, and if it doesn't turn out how you want, then you don't want to do it. So here's the coilovers, or yeah, well, the shocks for the coilovers. Always wanted these when they first came out, before Global West was even making a kit for it. But yeah, I'm gonna get to it, get to drilling. You know, thanks for bearing with me. I don't know if I'm gonna split this up into multiple videos or just do one big one. You know how I do. So, all right, back to it. First step, use this little plate. It's like a template. So it's a template. It'll show you where you're going to be drilling that hole. So you'll bolt these two in, and then you'll drill this hole out. And then you put this in, but don't tighten it yet. Now I got to do the other side. Back to it. Okay, now we got to put the bar in. So what it's saying is use this bolt and one of these spacers. Now that those bolts are in, they give you little spacers, which I can't really get an angle on, but they're these to go on the back side. It'll focus. Because there's the nut on the back sits in a little pocket. So if you don't have those in there, you won't be able to loosen or tighten that nut. Now I gotta line these, which I've already done. I just want to double check the other side. There's not too big of a gap. But I'll drill that first hole on top of the 72 and then put in a bolt loosely and do the other side. And then I gotta drill the other two. So, all right, back to it. So one hole's drilled on each side. Now time to drill these are just down snug. Now I'm going to drill these other 4 holes, and that top bar should be done being installed. So you already know. They're not tight. They're still hand tight. Got to go around and tighten them up. Still got to tighten one of those bolts. But yeah, we're almost there, gentlemen. We are almost there. It looks super sick with all those lines and the vents. It's gonna be dope. So back to it. Okay. Now for the fun part, we get to install the coilovers. Well, I get to assemble the coilovers, then install them. So again, these are just Viking Performers. Came with thrust bearings. Shouldn't be too difficult. Again, I'm running QA1 springs. Part number somewhere on here. One of those is a part number. So yeah. All right, back to it. So done. They look so good. I just want to stare at them all day. But I gotta put them in the car. So back to it. All right, so I gotta pull that spacer out, make room for the shock. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. Do I need to say it? I think I gotta say it. Back to it. Now I have to slide this under the car, bolt it all up, mount the coilovers, and see where these mounts are gonna land, because I gotta weld those in before I paint this thing. So that's gonna be fun. So the bolt doesn't go in on the right side at the upper. I had to beat it with a hammer. It sucked. Okay, that sucked. It's another reason why you should run Heim joints instead of them stupid rubber bushings. That one was binding, so it didn't want to come and go in. So, all right, so this is in. Now what I'm gonna do is hang the coilovers, try and get the angle for this mount right here so I can weld it in. So I'm just hanging the shocks right now, mounting them up. Got the bags on there so I don't scratch it up. So these coilovers are mounted, just trying to get the bracket angle right before I weld them in. So I'm happy with the angle. It's not crazy. Let me show you. So those are the brackets. They're not tight, but you know, it looks like they're gonna work. I might need to add a little bit of metal to the bottom. See, they hang out on the bottom, so I might either just burn that in or add a little tab. I'm not sure, but I was worried because there's a nut on the back side, so I was worried it wasn't gonna fit. But it's got good clearance back there, so the angle's not too crazy. I don't want to slide to the back, but it's not too nuts. I was gonna put it over here, but I think that'd be way too hard of an angle. The more you angle the shock from 90, it changes the spring rate. There's a calculation you can use if you look on Global West website, Viking's website, QA1, they all have it. So anyways, I'm gonna tighten these up and then tack them in so that when I pull them out, pull the rear end out, I can weld it up. So that's it, that's all. Back to it. All right, so as you see, it's touching. So, and then these also got super close. I just jacked the car up, so the weight on the housing and the coilovers right now. So what I'm thinking of doing is I can put a little spacer. I mean, you see that's barely touching. So what I think I'm gonna do is put a little, like a 1/2 inch spacer behind that mount, and then that should kick that out enough, and then I'll just scallop little grooves in there just so that'll clear. So we'll see. So a bit of a speed bump, which I knew was coming. Global West and Quick Performance both told me that Global West said their mount doesn't work with the Quick Performance rear end, and vice versa for Quick Performance. So, but they told me, you know, I should be able to come up with something fairly easy, which is true. So this is what we ended up doing. So you'll see from the clip before that that mount was touching. If I just put it in there straight, you know, once you jack, it's fine as it sits there. But once you jack the car up, put the weight of the car on it, the coils are too close to the housing. You wouldn't be able to use the full length of the adjustment, and those brackets were touching. So these touch the top. So what I'm going to end up doing is I just took some, see, I took their mount apart. I was going to cut their mount apart. What you could do, just cut that off, cut across here, cut down, and weld this onto here. That'll work fine, but it still looks super bulky, kind of unnecessary, I think, for what I'm trying to do. But what I did was I just took these washers, stacked them. It's about 8 mil. Put it on the bottom of here, which is, this is a longer bolt, and put it in to the housing just to see if it'll fit. So see if I could just space it out to make it work, and it does. So if I can space that out 8 mil, then we're good. We got clearance, more than enough clearance for both the coilover and the adjustment. What I'm gonna do is shave this whole bracket down flat, just a little bit, just to clear that housing, which some of the other brackets come with that already done to them. Same bracket basically, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. And when I had got these shipped with my rear end, Quick Performance sent me these. One of the nuts and some of the spacers were missing in the box. The box was destroyed, which I don't blame them because that rear end is super heavy. But so I called them to let them know. They just sent me out another one. I tried to pay for shipping. They wouldn't even let me. So, you know, shout out to them. You know, this isn't by no means anything wrong with Quick Performance or Global West. They both told me straight up, they won't work. Here's what you can do to make it work. Also, you know, if you are planning to go with this kit, you can simply buy a bracket, a coilover bracket, and send it to Quick Performance ahead of time. They'll be more than happy to weld that in for you. Which actually, now that I see, you don't even really need to do that. So anyways, I have an extra set of these without the hardware. So luckily that's right above 8 mil, like 8.2 or something like that. So I'm gonna cut they're the same shape with the same hole. So instead of having to do a lot of cutting and all this crap, I'm just gonna cut those ears off of both sides, weld it to this, and then weld the whole thing to the housing. So I'll look around. I got a bunch of cutting makers, as my lady calls them, or holer makers for drills. But anyways, yeah, so I got a bunch of stuff I can use to cut it. That's the easiest, will be the cleanest. It will not have hella burrs, and it won't try and kill me. So we'll see. That's what I got to do now. Just wanted to make sure I put this in here because, you know, a lot of people just show you all the pretty stuff and none of the problems. So that doesn't help anybody, and that's a waste of your and my time. So all right, back to it. Okay, so here's the outcome. So I just made that little spacer down there. Got a nice little crevice to lock that in. I just wound the springs all the way down just to see if it had enough clearance for the collar, and it does. So what I think I'm gonna do now is just burn that into the mount and then burn the mount into the housing. So all right, back to it. Just some test beads on those brackets I cut off before I actually get to burning this mount in here. Okay, so that purple mark is how much clearance I need to make. I was going to use a router, not a router, but like a porting bit, but I don't know, it seems a little sketch, so I'm gonna use a grinder. The red mark is where the nut is. I think TRZ or something like that sells these that are already divoted right there, but Yeah, and then I just, as we've seen, welded on that spacer. So I'm basically trying to burn my garage down here. Right there, I shot sparks at my cell phone that I used to record the time lapse, and yep, it's not looking good. Just putting in the coilovers now, just double checking that the distance is good. So we'll see if it turns out good. There's not a lot of info online again, so that's why I'm putting a lot out about these, because I couldn't find it. People were asking me a bunch of questions, so sometimes you just got to do it. So we are good. That's more like it. When I jack it up though, it's got maybe 1/4 of an inch clearance. It closes up as it goes up. So yeah, I'll show you the other side. That's the other side. Again, it closes up when it goes up, but I'm gonna tack those into place, take it off, then I can burn them in, then I can get to rolling. That's the last part. That shit took forever, man. Just to reiterate, just in closing, these brackets had to be arched out. You see that arch? That arch right there? To clear. They look fine now, but when it's jacked up, they come super close. Then I had to add about, I don't know, a little under 1/4 of an inch to the back of it, just to space it out enough, because I mean it would clear, but it was too close for what I wanted to feel comfortable with. So what I did was I jacked up the housing all the way up till the weight of the car was on the springs, checked the clearance behind here, and then check these arches right here. And then I, check one side, just jack one side all the way up, jack one side all the way up, make sure there's no difference in this angle, which there isn't. So remember, most of this stuff is temporary. So I still have to tub the frame. I'm not powder coating the housing because I'm gonna probably end up shortening the housing to get the amount of lip that I want. But that comes after I tub the frame. ABC, I forgot if it's ABC Performance, I think it's called, but they have a frame notching kit that basically cuts it all the way to that inside edge, and then it puts that outer box on the inside. And then this bar on the top will probably be replaced with just a solid bar that goes across. But that's way down the line. That's when body and paint comes into play. So yeah, I'm super juiced that worked out. So yeah, enough talking. Back to it. So I'm tacking under the car here. Helmet kept sliding off my head. It was a very awkward thing. It's different than tacking on a workbench. Just burning in the rear mounts, I think it came out really good, being I have no idea what I'm doing. So shout out to Miller, because that machine is awesome. Yeah. It's welded here, welded there, welded on the bottom, and it's got that big ass bolt. That shit ain't going nowhere. Wow, that's done. That's like a big relief. That took forever. That's why I put so much info in here about those, man, because they were, there's a bunch of questions. Like, I posted barely any pictures about it, and like hella people reached out to me trying to figure out how I did it, because it's a big issue with Quick Performance, these mounts. Which is, again, it's not Quick Performance, man. They'll do what you need. Just, you gotta have all your stuff there and send it to them and really know what you want. So I did, but I never ordered a 9-inch before, so didn't really know what I was gonna, what to do. So the guys at Quick Performance are awesome. True American company, man. Like, customer service is on point. Shipping was decent even with the times we're in, so hopefully the performance is as good as the customer service, which I mean, I'm pretty sure all I heard for the past 12-13 years when asking about a rear end is Quick Performance over and over and over again. So there's Mauser, there's Strange, there's all kind of big giant name companies that cost hella money. These guys are reasonably priced. They're actually better. It was a better price to get this whole rear end with all the specs that I got than it would have been to buy a 12 bolt and have it redone at the shop where I'm at in California. So that says a lot about their company as well. Yeah, enough talking. I gotta paint this thing. It's gonna suck. Check out the other videos if you want to see the painting and the brake lines. That's the last piece for the rear end. Thank you for bearing with me. Hit that like, comment, subscribe. Get all these views, no likes, you know, if I helped you out. Spread the love, man. Appreciate it. Got some more videos to come. I got to do the exhaust next, and we're on the road.